You're not here by accident. You're not an accidental afterthought, kind of, sort of. Your story, your voice, that aching feeling that you feel inside, that you know is saying that you're meant to do and say and be something, that matters. But if you're stuck in a fog, if you're stuck in questioning, in thoughts, in the I'm still trying to figure it out, today is where we get you on the path of real clarity. Today is where that clarity begins. Let yourself be seen and start saying it even before it's perfect. Can you do that? All right, let's go. Hi, my name's Steve Kidd. I am a third-generation minister, international best-selling author of 39 books and counting, and I help people write, publish, market their books to bestseller. I've worked with over 5,000 people doing that. But what I really do is I'm here to help you architect your visibility. That starts with you being clear, by you not just knowing, not just thinking, not just feeling like there's something for you, there's a place, there's this thing you got to do, but really, truly being clear on it. To not just know it, but to feel it. To go from head knowledge, even past the heart sense of it, down into that stuff that resonates down here in your gut, where you're like, yeah, that's the thing. That is totally me. And I know you know it. I know you know what it feels like when you say something, when you do something, and it is just absolutely 100% completely aligned with exactly who you are. There's no questions when you do things like that. It just resonates. You can feel it right immediately. You can be, it's like a vibration, and that seems a little bit, because whenever I say something like that, a person has a tendency to be like, well, I didn't feel any tingly feeling, so it must not have been. And that's not really totally what I'm meaning, but it's vibrational in that it completely aligns with exactly who you are. Like as soon as you do it, as soon as you say it, you immediately just know. And it's that deep knowing. It's that knower in your knowing in the no that really gets down in there, that helps you truly be able to do it. And does that make a little bit of sense? I apologize in advance today for my wheezing while we talk, and we dive into the clarity that you need, because I know sometimes it feels like you're invisible, like you go live and you're not really there. You're talking to yourself. You feel maybe even just a little bit of crazy. I know how that feels. I've been there many, many times. In the nature of the radio show that I do, I do the interviews with the people, but then I put it all together, here at home in front of my two great big giant screens that I love doing. And I love doing it. I'm not complaining at all, but I have to figure out what is the connection between these three or four completely just totally different from each other people. Where's the connective tissue? And then do that. And then I have to do drop-ins to kind of keep it, going and rolling. And I love doing it. I'm not a complaint at all. I absolutely love it. But, all of that can really feel like talking into the void, like talking to yourself. Often when I'm doing these, you can kind of see I try to focus here at the camera versus over here to where I can see me, because looking at myself is distracting. And I know some of you feel that too. And I do like it. I like it when I'm in a Zoom meeting. When I do the radio interviews, I intentionally keep my video off. I am lately capturing the video of them for the different purposes that we can use in marketing, because the radio show is audio by nature, but some of those video elements of it can be really good. So I've got that. And when I'm talking to a person. And even if the videos are both off, you're talking to somebody, and that always, of course, feels easier. And so I get that feeling of invisibility. But you're not invisible. I promise you're not. More people are seeing you than you possibly can imagine. And all the stuff that goes behind the scenes, that's underneath the surface, that except for when you start looking at your analytics and stuff like that, you don't see it happening at all. Because people are coming back and they're watching it later. The things that you use it to repurpose what you're saying for are getting likes and views and comments and those kind of things. And I get it, it feels overwhelming. And when you live it out day by day, and I'm telling you this both experientially, as I'm doing this right here in front of you every single day, but also from years and years of experience, and from also a deep understanding of, I get it. I know exactly how you feel and exactly where you are. I totally see that. And so I get that invisibility. I know it's there. And I don't want you to feel like I'm in any way dissing it. But I really do absolutely want you to kind of see the process of things. I want you to really tie into and buy into the 3 C's. What are our 3 C's? Clarity, consistency, connection, right? Okay. And the reason why I need you to do that is because when you see the system, when you know that your voice has a voice, when you know how that all lines up together, comes together, shows up for you, then even when it feels like, or when you rationalize it, you look over here and you're like, how many people are viewing live right now? How long have I been talking? And you use that as your determiner. That says nothing about your clarity. It says nothing about your visibility. It's completely false, but yet that's where we end up basing it on. So I need you to understand, clarity begins in your heart. And I'm actually going to drop that another level even further, even though that's what it says in the description. Clarity really solidifies when it's down in your gut. So it needs to begin in your heart. It needs to be that connective tissue. That's why I keep flipping it around. Clarity, consistency, connection, clearly, consistently, all of those kind of things, because that heart condition, that desire that you have in your heart to do the thing that only you can do, to connect with the person that only you were meant to connect with. Those are the kind of things, that's where your clarity starts. You got to know the deep version of you. And some of us are afraid to do that. And it's a process, okay? So don't take any of this on as judgment. Don't allow yourself to be like, well, see, you just don't know who you are. No, don't go there, please. Okay? Where you are, absolutely, what you know about yourself right now is more than enough. It's good enough. It's powerful. It's amazingly good stuff. Okay? And that's where we start. And we start with whatever connection we have to our heart. And I know you, I see you, I know you're a deeply heart-aligned, mission-driven, purposeful individual. So that taking a minute and stopping, and I want you to do this right now, okay? I don't want you to just see me do it, but I want you to actually do this. I want you to take a minute and breathe. What you know can bring you home. Yeah, that's very true. Because that home that's inside of you, it's more intuitive than it is, like you can look it up on a GPS. You can go round and round and round and round and round with every AI program that's out there, and they can give you insights and they can give you help. But ultimately, that beat inside of your heart, that resonance with, And that's why I said, that's why I was calling it vibrational. It isn't that you go, oh, I got it now. I got that tingly electric. I knew a person that, was basing whether or not they should be in a relationship with somebody based on that electricity. And that can really lead you astray, especially when you're talking about early on in that dating space and stuff, because that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with alignment at all. Okay, so that's not the kind of tinglies I'm talking about. I'm talking about that deep breath. Do it again. Stop for a second. Go. Cough and choke if you need to. Take a drink of water like I'm going to. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, Steve choked to death. I was there. I remember it. I saw him live. He died right there on camera. I suppose if I was giving to you, that would be really shocking for you. It'd be probably a bad experience for you. But I'm willing to give you my last breath, my very last word, have it be live for you. That would be okay. That totally lines up with my heart. Absolutely. What did it feel like when you took that breath? When you just went, stopped for a second, and just allowed yourself to realign with the real and true who you are. This is totally not a part of what I have outlined, but I'm going to call this out completely. Patricia, absolutely. I saw your story on Facebook. Thank you. I appreciated it. Thanks for calling me out. I appreciate that too, because you're absolutely so right. You can't just put pedal to the metal and just go, 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 slam against the wall and just keep going. It's not the way we're designed to be. And so thank you for that. I really appreciate that. And it does align. So I love how God aligns things together, brings them into our world and the people that are in our world and how well aligned we are. Because it goes exactly with what we're talking about. It's what that's stopping and going. And I'm going to ask you again, did you do it? Did you stop and take that breath? Or did you just, look at me, make fun of me, take another drink because that's what the drinking game is for today or whatever? Or did you stop? Did you go, maybe even do it again? You see how I'm closing my eyes? You can't see it because the little thing's there, but I've actually got my hands clasped together. Yeah, kind of sort of like in prayer. It's that centering. That's where, and some of you I know didn't grow up in church and stuff like that. But, that's where that is. It's kind of like pulling and aligning yourself back up to that stillness, that silence. That mercy that met you in the dark that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. That does that for you. And it can feel like, and yeah, we can go, and we can shrink, and that's not at all what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that aligning yourself, that centering. You could do it like this, like they do, like in martial arts and different things, in yoga and stuff like that, it's that taking a moment and pulling yourself back. Your heart is in your palm first. Okay. It's about that drawing yourself in. Because up here in our head, it's always full of stuff. And most of it's a bunch of crap. Let's just be honest, okay? Let's call a spade a spade. All of this heart stuff, all this head stuff up here, it's a bunch of head trash. And when we listen to it, we go way off the rails. Yeah, your fist, same size as your heart. We listen to that head stuff and it just, It just messes with us, and then we start believing it. And then we start aligning our business with all this head crap, right? And before you know it, you're off. And that doesn't mean that you're not wildly, massively successful, because I know you are. But you're aligned to the head trash, and you're running 1,000 zillion billion miles an hour headlong at a brick wall, because you know you're so powerful that you're just going to smash through the wall. And I believe in you, and I think you can do it. I absolutely do. But, or also, don't do it. Take a minute and breathe. See that wall for what it is. Because a lot of times, that wall isn't even real. It was created, again, by that head trash. And when we come back down and we go down into our heart, that's where we start seeing and feeling and being able to live in the clarity. And then we want to go down even just a little bit further, down into what we call our gut. And it's not really about your stomach and about, the weight that I need to lose as I'm rubbing on my Buddha belly here. I mean, it's not nearly as big as it used to be, but, and yeah, I know I'm talking all these alignments and all these kind of things. And I'm sure that somebody that's into chakras could be all like, yeah, and you talked about this chakra and the moon and I don't know any of those kind of things. But I know your gut. I know that intuition, that way down deep in you, you just know it, you feel it. It's that ick when you're doing something you shouldn't be doing. And it's that when it's just right and it's just perfect. And relationships is the perfect place to use it as an example for that gut stuff. Because we know it. Oh, yeah. That girl is beautiful, and oh my gosh, and the way she makes me feel. But that's not a down here feeling. That's an up here head feeling. That's a lightheaded electricity kind of a feeling. That puppy love, that, that stuff. And we understand that. And I can kind of even make fun of all of us for it, because we've all been through it. You meet that person and oh my gosh, and we're just so in love. How many of you have been in a situation where a friend of yours met somebody and they're just so in love, and they've known each other for a very short period of time, and they don't really know each other at all, and they're announcing to you how exciting it is that they're going to get married? Okay. And how many of you have been that person? Yeah, okay. I'm just calling myself out on that too. All right. But here's the thing. All right. And I had this discussion with my dad about myself. I'll call myself out here. Okay. With my first wife. My dad told me, this is many years later. This is after my first wife and I had divorced and everything. And he said, I tried so hard to help you understand and see that you didn't really know her, and you didn't understand the background that she came from and all of what that meant. And she had a very similar background to my dad. So my dad kind of just intuitively understood the environment that she was raised in, very much more than I did, totally, absolutely, totally different worlds. And he said, I tried so hard. And it literally got to the place where your mom had to come to me and tell me that I had to stop, because if I pushed it any further, I was going to damage our relationship. My dad and I are super close. And really, quite frankly, brutally honestly with you, I do not remember any of that. I don't remember being upset with him. I don't remember him pushing me. I don't remember what he said. None of that. Just bounced off me, like the I'm rubber, you're glue, bounces off me, sticks to you, that kind of a thing. But it was totally true. When I was a 19-year-old. I mean, I was a cool 19-year-old too. I was poised to take the world by storm. But what I wasn't was emotionally mature enough to be a married person, that was instantly going to have a 3-year-old and all of that kind of stuff. And I don't know any 19-year-old, especially 19-year-old boy that is. Girls mature faster than boys, just from a purely psychological standpoint. And so maybe a 19-year-old girl is there. And for sure, by the time a girl is at that 20 or 21-year-old stage, she typically, not always, and sometimes in society these days it's not as true, but she typically is at a place where, she could make those decisions. Her brain formation has come far enough that she can actually rationally make those decisions. A man's brain isn't going to be even fully developed until he's 25. So when he's making those decisions, he's making them literally brain damaged. Okay, now some of you are looking back at some of the relationships that you were in back when you were 18, 19, 20, 16, 15, whatever. And you're like, oh man, do I totally get that. Yeah, not ready at 19, right? Nice picture of you at 21, by the way. But we do it, and that's totally a head decision. And it feels like that deep gut, oh yeah, I felt it in my bones. Oh, we were soulmates together. And here's the thing, with my first wife, there's a possibility that we were. I don't know, because I wasn't old enough to be able to know. And by the time I was 25 and had a fully developed brain and wasn't walking around brain damaged, I was 6 years into a marriage. And, I'd have to think for a minute, how old would I have been in 1984 when Alex was born? I would have been 27. So, that was right around, so when I was 25 was about the time Michael was born. So Michael is my oldest son. He's my fourth of my five, fourth of my six, but fourth of the five that were there in the first marriage. First one was mine by adoption. The other four were my fault. And then my sixth child, Maya, she's also mine by adoption. She came with her second, with my second wife, she came with her mom. So yeah, 4 kids in, a lot of craziness that's going on, and you see all those things as gut, but that's not the gut. That's head trash. And clarity doesn't come from that. It doesn't come from the head stuff. Okay, it comes from knowing and being aligned in your heart, and then listening to that inner knowing, that intuition that says, yeah, this really truly is. Yeah, Robin. And it's one of those kind of things. It is what it is, by the time I was 27, I had 5 kids. By the time I was in my 30s, I had 6, And I'm not sure if I'm even ready to have kids now. Maybe I should be a dad now, because maybe I'm really finally ready for it. I don't know, maybe too old. Who knows? We'll see. But, it's that kind of thing. You take that clarity. That's first. You align it with your heart, that heart clarity, and you listen to what your gut says about it. And then you let it grow. How do we let it grow? We bring it out into the light. See, there's an amazing thing that light does. And we all know that, like UV light, they're doing a lot of that these days. And they used a ton of it during COVID for, killing bacteria and stuff like that. And all of the lies and all the untruths and all the head trash that we say was our gut and all of that, it all dies in the light. When I come here to you on these lives and I say something, it's exposing it to the light. And sometimes what I'll come away from with these is some real, light-driven clarity on my own stuff too. Things that are like, oh, yeah, I see that now. And it becomes really cool. And then the other way that we do it in the light is that we do work with people. both the people that we're meant to serve and the people that we're meant to, be mentored by. So we have three levels of people, okay? We have somebody that is a coach, advisor, mentor, okay? And technically coach, advisor, mentor are three people. All right, but I'm going to bundle all those together. Those are the people that are anywhere from 1 to 1,000 steps ahead of us. And that would be the difference between a coach, an advisor, and a mentor. A coach is 1 step ahead of us. An advisor, an advisor is somebody that's like 20 steps ahead of us. And a mentor is that person that's like way, way out there. Like they've been there, done that, seen all the stuff. And they just know that they know. They can just look at it and say, yeah. I'll never forget. This is a total segue, but it's an interesting thing. Some of you have heard me talk before about having worked for a while with Kirby, and I was driving around a van full of guys, because I was basically the branch manager, general manager, office manager, the chief cook and bottle washer, really basically to Lily, who was the distributor there. And I'm driving around this van full of guys, dropping them off at houses and stuff like that. And as is the case, you get really deep with some of these people. And one of the guys was talking. It was just him and I and my dad in the car, and they all knew my dad was a minister and stuff. And he was pouring his heart out because he was going through a really rough time in his marriage. And he was talking about something that his wife was doing. And my dad turns around and looks at him. And I'll never forget this. I'm driving down the road, so I didn't see my dad's face. But I saw out of the corner of my eye my dad turn. My dad turns around and looks at him and says, "Who's the dude?" And he's like, "What?" He's like, "No, my wife isn't cheating on me." He's like, "Okay, but just be open to it." Sure enough, because I knew this guy, and I mean, my dad was there for a week visiting me, and then, he left. Sure enough, about a month later, he found out his wife was cheating on him. You see, that's that mentor, that light years ahead of you. They just see right into it. Okay, and you need all of those. You then have that group of people they're your peers, they're your community, they're your ride or dies, they're your this. You link hands together. You do like Patricia always does on these, and you come in and you add value to one another. You call each other out on your shit, and you listen to each other, and you help up level each other, and you're better because of that. Whatever level of it is, partnership. Okay? And then you have the people that you're meant to serve. And in each of those, there's, varying groups, and I don't need to go into that. But by bringing it into the light in all of those, by coming into your community, see, that's why I've got Visibility Amplifier, that group for you to join. And that's why I've got it as free, because it's a free, easy place for you to come in and be in connection. Yes, in that two-way connection. Absolutely, Patricia. Where you can be with like-minded people who want to be visible and valuable, and you're there and you can see that and you can bounce things off. And that's a really safe place to bring things to the light and say, hey, how does this resonate with you? Those aren't the people that are, like your coaches and advisors and mentors that are going to be calling you out on your stuff. We really shouldn't be doing that with our peer group. If you see somebody tripping, you want to grab them and help catch them, but you're not really there to parent them, as it were. It's more of that camaraderie that helps one another, that partners together and makes each other better. Does that make sense? And that's why we've got that. And absolutely, go to visibilityamplifier.com and join the group. Absolutely. That is totally there for you for that reason. And that is really where you can get some really clear, good, cleansing light, and the good kind of light that's going to cause your clarity continue to grow. Right? That's what that's for. That's also the place where you discover that you're not the only one. That all these things that you're going through, that you're like, oh my gosh, nobody understands what I'm going through. There's no one in this whole entire world, I know I'm sounding like a teenager right now, aren't I? That has ever gone through whatever I'm going through, and then, yeah, teenagers got that one down down pat. But, the truth and the reality of the matter is that when we're in that community and we're connecting in that way, we can begin to see, hey, you're not alone. I'm not the only person who's out there feeling like they're screaming out into the void and is completely invisible and nobody's seeing them. And then you can have people in that community that will post on your stuff, give you likes and hearts. Hearts, people, not likes, hearts, because the hearts have value, and in Facebook's algorithm, the likes don't. That's the way they've changed it. Okay, same is true in LinkedIn. I mean, the like has a little bit more value in LinkedIn, but the heart still is even better. Okay, so give people hearts. All right. And that light allows us all to grow and all to get untangled, and we start feeling stronger, and we start seeing one or two people that are on with us live like we have today, where we've got both Patricia and Robin here on live. And then somebody reminds us, like I was reminded. In this particular case, it was ChatGPT who asked me for the information and reminded me that I hadn't looked at my statistics for a while. But, in that community is a great place to remind each other, hey, I know how that feels. You know what I did? See, I'm telling you as part of my community right now. I'm sharing it with you, okay? What I did when it prompted me to give it some factual data information is I went through and I looked at the number of views on the Instagram reels and the number of views on the Facebook posts. And, some of you have joined and are watching now my Ask Steve Kid YouTube channel. So if you're watching this one live on the Steve Kid YouTube channel, where all the long lives are, and where all the radio shows up until January, we've got to come a whole new method for putting the radio show back onto YouTube because of changes YouTube made. But that's kind of the mass of like, oh, so much content, Steve, that kind of a thing. And that's where I go live with with an author when I launch their book and stuff. The Ask Steve Kid, it's not actually, I've actually had that YouTube for a decade, but I just started using it just this last week. It's like 4 or 5 days in now, and that's where I'm putting out some very specific short videos. And yeah, you can see those on Instagram and on TikTok as well. And we're also doing some of these longer ones that are, 30, 40, 50 minutes. We're taking those and breaking those into 2 to 6 or 7 minute, videos, with the normal YouTube thumbnail versus just my face going, man, I hope that one catches for a thumbnail. That would be great. And that kind of thing, and doing some of those kind of things. And it was great to look at that statistic, because there have been just shy of 2,000 people that have viewed that, and because they're shorts, there's a couple of longer ones, but because they're shorts, when they're 5 second to at most of the time 40 seconds long, there's a couple of them that there's one of them that I know that made it to the full minute, but most of them are less than 30 seconds. When it was showing that people were listening on average to them at like 22 seconds. That's a really good statistical average. Really exciting things to see, and you can be in this place where you feel all kinds of like, it's just not working. I just don't know what I'm doing, and you can, kind of relish in that spot and really get down on yourself. And then you go and you see that statistic and you're like, maybe this is working. Maybe it'll show up in my bank account next. The next thing I'll know, I'll be, then you can let your mind go in that way. And that's how we develop that clarity. We bring it into the light. We share it. That's why I'm always encouraging you. Pick up your phone. Yes, this is for you to do specifically. Pick up your phone Hi, my name is, what I do is, and what I'd really like to tell you today is. Those three things. Now, some of you are going to say, well, I don't know what I do, or I'm not clear on what I do. Hi, my name is, and I'm not really clear on what I do, but I'm here for you today. Or the even most simple basic of broken down to the most basic, and it's this. Hi, my name is, how can I help you today? That'll take you about 3 seconds. Probably won't even be a 5-second video. I mean, if you threw some kind of weird gang sign up at the front of it, when you're starting to talk about reels and shorts and stuff like that, you can't really throw thumbnails and end cards on them like you can when you do a regular video. But the best way to predict the future is to make it. Yeah. In fact, the future is what we make of it. Right? What you focus on grows. What you put your effort into is exactly what you're going to get out of it. If you plant corn, corn's going to be what's going to grow. And if you plant, my coach Molly, she's always using Brussels sprouts. She really loves Brussels sprouts, but she also knows a lot of people that hate Brussels sprouts. But if you plant Brussels sprouts, totally polarizing, vegetable, unlike corn, which tends to be, for the most part, widely accepted. It's in the cool crowd of vegetables versus the nerd crowd that the Brussels sprouts are in. If you plant Brussels sprouts and you don't like Brussels sprouts, guess what? You're going to grow Brussels sprouts. Man, I can't even talk. You're going to grow Brussels sprouts. Yes, Patricia, if you love rhubarb, plant rhubarb. And then put it together with some strawberries and make a strawberry rhubarb pie. But if you plant rhubarb and celery pops up, you're not going to be a happy camper. And if you want rhubarb and you plant celery, what you focus on is what's going to grow. So what have we talked about here today? Clarity in your invisibility. Clarity is a heart condition that is verified by our gut and has nothing to do with our head. Our head is going to lead us astray. Clarity absolutely does need the coach, mentor, advisor. You need me in your life to help you find the clarity in your stuff. And you need to drop the word clear or clarity, either one of those, into the comments, into a direct message to me. Okay. And then you need community. You need the light for your stuff to grow. You need a safe space to share your things with. You need to have the boldness to go live, to pick up the phone and go, how can I help you today? I mean, how long would it take you to say that? I mean, be careful because somebody's going to tell you, which is awesome. Even though I know you don't think it's awesome, it really is. And that's the light that helps it grow. And that community is also the place where you begin to see, hey, I'm not really alone in this thing. I'm not the only wacko that's out there that's doing this crazy stuff. I'm not the only person who traded. I mean, I didn't do it because I've been self-employed literally my whole life. But, the old saying, you trade a 40-hour-a-week job to start your own company so you can work 60 to 70 hours a week. Community lets you have that. Then you're not alone. The consistency in being in the community, the consistency in sharing with the people that are watching you, the consistency in meeting with your coach and learning more and up-leveling yourself, the consistency in continuing to grow in your clarity. That's your work for the day. You bring me in to help you coach your clarity. And we help you discover how to be visible and valuable and how to remove that false brain space opinion that you're invisible. You join Visibility Amplifier community, visibilityamplifier.com. You join us there for the light and the safety and the nourishment of that clarity as you continue to work with me and you build that clarity. And then you use consistency. You make the posts, you go live, you say the thing. Feel free to go live into the group and only share it there because you're chicken to do anywhere else. We'll give you feedback, even if it's only just me. I mean, I know Patricia will too. Yes, and trust your gut. Go where you're celebrated. Go where you're needed. Don't force your way into some place that doesn't really want you around. If you don't feel welcome somewhere, leave. That was harsh but real, huh? So what are we going to do today? We're going to go live. Going to pick up the phone. We're going to be like, hi, my name is, what I do is, and what I want to tell you today is. And or, if you don't have any of that, I have no idea what I'm going to talk to you about, but I want you to know I'm here for you. How can I help you today? All right. We're going to go to visibilityamplifier.com and join the community because you need that community. So we've got two ways of bringing the light. We've got the light of the community. We've got the light of you taking your guts and putting them out there live, splaying your guts out for everybody to see. And we're then going to commit right now today to do that consistently, to do it every day. If you right now set aside 5 minutes on your calendar, and all you're going to make sure you do in that 5 minutes is like 4 or 5 people's posts, make a couple of comments on the ones, and spend a minimum of 5 seconds going live. And then, of course, absolutely, then you want to come and work with me. In point of fact, if you drop the word clarity, I want to meet with you. We're going to get together and I'm going to talk to you for 15 minutes for free, just to kind of see where you are, what could help you to get clear, and see what kind of insights I can bring into you. If you determine beyond that yes, you absolutely should work with me, that's massively great. And if not, that's totally cool too. And maybe what I'm going to say to you is, hey, you need to work with Patricia. Or maybe what I'm going to say to you is, hey, you need to work with my good buddy, Willie J. Maybe I'm going to tell you you're crazy. No, I won't tell you that. I promise you. It'll be kind and loving and upholding and supportive. Okay? So all week this week, we're going to be talking about, what are we going to be talking about? I got to remind myself. I've been talking too long. We're going to be talking about clarity in your message. Okay? If you can't say it clearly, then they can't say yes to you clearly. So we're going to be talking about all week. So tomorrow we'll jump into a little bit more of this. We're going to help you get clear. And I'm here to help you make the difference in this world that only you can make. Because you're amazing. You're incredible. It blows my mind with the insight that I have into you as to how cool you are. And I know you don't see it, but it's true. And you need to be the you that is you out into the world, doing the thing that only you can do. And thanks for doing it. I appreciate you. I hope until we're together again next time, which is, by the way, tomorrow, in case you missed that you do drop the word clarity. You do come and join us in Visibility Amplifier community, visibilityamplifier.com. But more than that you have a peaceful, restful day and you have a great week.